again, this is Focus on Liberia on our program, The Hour of Politics, with me, your humble host, Anson Sia. We have with us the man, George Lobbo, as our guest on this breaking news. This is actually a special edition of our program. We will go at this for at least an hour and 30 minutes. Before we get started, Mr. Lobbo, we have a political poem, and we will read the poem just to get the show started. Again, folks, in cyberspace, I'm Anson Sia, your humble host here on this program, The Hour of Politics. At this network, focus on Liberia. Our icebreaker is a political poem, and it does read, "Our Father in heaven, hallowed be thy your name. May your kingdom come to Mama Liberia. Let your will be done in Liberia, even halfway as it is in heaven. Teach us this day how to love and work hard. Wean us off of foreign aid and dependency, and forgive us our debts and bad habits. But punish those who stole the little we own and borrow, for that is wickedness on the part of the powerful, seeking glory and wealth on the backs of the poor, forever and ever." A political poem there to get us started. Mr. George Lobbo, what's your impression about the political poem, first of all?
Let me say, well written, straight on point, especially with the show today. I'm grateful to be here. I like the part that he mentioned that those who steal from the little we borrowed must be punished.
Yes.
History have instead in the past what history have done. It has celebrated those who have stolen from us. It have healed those who have embezzled the little we've borrowed. The little we've borrowed could have been used to move our country forward, could have been used to set the foundation upon which today we would have been succeeding upon. But once again, I like that poem. I mean, it's straight to the core of the issues, and I'm glad. Well rated.
Thank you. That's the man, Mr. George Lobbo. That was an icebreaker to warm in on, and you can tell his reaction to it is highly warming. And so we are all warm up, and let's get started. Mr. Lobbo, you have a breaking news for us here at Focus on Liberia. We are aware that some time ago now, a shocking news broke out sometime between 2017 and 2018 about the disappearance of a 16 billion Liberian dollars. Today, it remains a mystery. The government claims that no money went missing, but Liberians are still scratching their head. How can that be possible? And you are here to reveal to us the mysteries surrounding the disappearance of this reported $16 billion. Tell us, what has happened to the billions?
To friends and families, fellow Liberians in Radio Land or cyberspace, let me begin today by once again welcoming you to the opportunity to take notes. Please, I ask that while you are here, it is good to comment. It is good to express your frustration, but I want you to pay attention. What I'm going to do for you today is to reconstruct the scene for those of you who have criminal background or criminal justice history or investigatory background. You know, when they talk about constructing the scene, it is something that happened, but we want to bring forth together so you know what happened. My dear brother Anthony, let me be very clear here this afternoon. I have been with the notion and still believe that as far as I'm concerned, no money went missing. What happened is that two things. When you hear people say money went missing, in accounting, when money cannot be accounted for, that means it is lost. When money cannot be found, it is stolen. We know that. Especially for a government where we now have facts, hardcore evidence of the names of the ERU officers that escorted the continuum. We have those documentations in our possession. I have been revealing to the Liberian people for some time now that no money went missing. What happened is that our money entered the Republic of Liberia, cleared the port under the leadership of Ambassador George Weah, and his government decided to divert the container to wherever they wanted to take it. Unfortunately for George, he did not understand the economic effect of such an action. One thing many Liberians have forgotten about the money is that the money that was brought into the country was brought in for a purpose. The money came into Liberia to replace the legacy note. It was not money printed in addition to what was in circulation. Now, the simple understanding, the way I like about the CBL research report, in 2017, if we go back and trace the history according to the CBL report, at the time in 2015, total amount of Liberian dollars in circulation was around 15.5 billion. Right now, we've learned, according to the same central bank, that the total amount of Liberian dollars in circulation prior to the $4 billion now was 28 billion. Now, the math is not hard to do. If you had, at the end of 2017, if you have 15 billion in circulation, then how did we jump to 20 billion by the time we got to 2018? The numbers are simple. You don't need rocket science to help educate you. Now, what happened is, even though they say the money is in circulation, here is where many Liberians have been conflicted. The money did not enter the central bank, and I maintain that statement today. And there have been a lot of action that have proven that the money did not go to the central bank. Because we know very well, there's in no way that 10.5 billion will be in the central bank. And by June of 2018, that President Weah will authorize the infusion of 25 million to map up excess liquidity. What make it excess? Because the money should have been in the bank. How did they get outside? But however, the boys have been able to lie to our people, continue to misinform them, bring out false narrative, and our people continue to follow. For few of us who can read between the lines and who can look at the numbers and say, hold on one second, that don't make sense. You know, so when the money arrived in the country, like we said, I've been very convinced, and I stand by my statement, that that money did not make it to the central bank. Because normally, we all know how monetary policies measures are taken. We all understand the institution responsible for implementing government's monetary policy, which happens to be the central bank in Liberia. Because the central bank role and responsibility is to control the flow of money, the money supply on the market. There's in no way the central bank will put 10.5 billion outside. And to just bring you people back, let's take a step back. Madam Salif authorized, the legislature authorized the printing of 5.5 billion in 2016. Think about it, folks. From 2016 to 2017, it took the central bank all that time to infuse 2.5 billion in the economy. You want to tell me that 10.5 billion that arrived in November, that cleared the port in March, that it was just infusing the economy in less than possible. No bank would do such a thing. But you see, the CDC government is a notorious clandestine bunch of unprofessional criminals. And I tell people, folks, to be a criminal, you got to be smart. This is why when you are caught, even your own friend criminal want to punish you. The boys did not understand what they were doing. Now to them, they thought that by taking the money and using it for their own purpose, that it will have no effect on the economy. No, it will impact the economy significantly.
Mr. Lobbo,
go ahead.
Before we go to how the money was used and whether or not whatever effect or repercussion it will have on the economy, you just said, in no way did the money make it to the central bank. I believe you were referring to the $10.5 billion. Is that correct?
100%, absolutely, yes.
So if the money did not make it to the central bank, my next question is, where did the money go?
Anthony, that is a very good question. That is why the core report said, and I quote, the core report said, because of the level of inconsistency and discrepancy within the documentation presented by the central bank, that there needs to be a further understanding. What is that further understanding? That means there needs to be a criminal investigation. We can only be able to trace that money through a criminal investigation. So until that is done, we are left in limbo.
Mr. Lobbo, the money did not go to the central bank, you believe. And the question was, where did it go? It must have gone somewhere. Where did it go?
Let me say this to you, Anthony. As you know, I was not part of the investigatory team, but let me say this very clear to you. We all understand how money is brought into the country. And you see, the CDC government, they are not smart, like I said before. We saw the other day the arrival of money at the RIA, where the government paraded the streets with EROU officers and in continuance, right? Mm-hmm. You remember? Now you want to tell me that 10.5 billion, if you have all that protection on the less amount of money that you brought in the country these few days, you want to tell me that 10.5 billion came into the country and the government did not take precaution. And if you want, I can go further on and let me do this for you, just for some basic, for fact.
Yeah, George, why you find that? Let's talk about the issue with the paper trails.
The paper trail, I'm going to, hold on. I'm going to the paper trail. I want to bring up something real quick to this school real quick. Let me do this for you. Hold on one second. Dennis, hold on here.
Anthony.
Okay, I got it. No, Anthony, I got it. I will go into something here real quick. What I was saying, Dennis.
Again, folks, in cyberspace, if you have just joined us, we ask that you share the show. We have breaking news here. We are unraveling the mysteries surrounding the $16 billion.
So let me read this for you, right?
Okay.
Now, let me read the name of the EROU officer that escorted the money. Okay. The first shipment, according to the central bank, this comes from the central bank. Okay. You see that?
I see that.
What seal is that? Is that my seal or the central bank?
That's the central bank seal with signatures on it.
Right? Okay.
Yeah.
Let me give you the names. The central bank staffer that went to the port that day. Right? Listen. Mm-hmm. This was the first people that went for February 5th. Uno consignment. The central bank staffers are as follows: Muslim Jackson, Orlando Deshir, Zina Davidson, Prince Bo, Moses Qualley. Listen to the name of the EROU police officer that escorted the money February 5th. Xavier A. Howard, Jimmy Davis, John B. Fopa, Tambasa, Perry G. Qualley, Nawoja Gallo, Aloysius Zotam, Patrick Kennedy, Robert Jala. Now, listen, man, listen. We have this documentation. It's just that, the more I go back, I can trace more. And to be honest, why is it, Anthony, up to now, the EROU is trying to get a statement. When we know you escorted the money was not unwrapped. So this thing here, Anthony, no, listen.
Mr. Lobbo, I'm sure you are aware of about 35% who were shortlisted by the Justice Ministry as being suspects when the news first broke, correct? And I want to believe these individuals that you just named, one of whom having to be savior, even though savior could not save us. But what I'm trying to say here is that why we don't have a report on these individuals, their role in the transportation of the 16 billion. Is that the reason why you think that this money did not go to the finance ministry?
100%, Anthony.
Yeah.
Anthony, that is why I've been very, very clear that the money did not enter the central bank. And I will tell you another reason again. Here's another factor why. Anthony, when money enters the central bank, when the central bank is going to infuse money in the economy, normally, if it is not through the process where the bank decides to change money, let's your currency because the bank wants to avoid any kind of problem. So sometimes the bank will give limited time where they would say in 1 month, so the bank would send agents across the country or set up stations. That is a different exercise. For this scenario was different. The way in which it was instructed was that it was going to replace the legacy note to the banking sector. Now, what we mean by that? Normally, the standard procedure is that when a bank gives, the central bank gives commercial banks money, right? The quantity of money given to any commercial bank, there is a tally. There is an information sheet that states the quantity that was given to what bank. It also lists from what serial number to what serial number that particular bank had, because that can be traced in the case of a criminal investigation. So if something was to happen and we wanted to say, okay, any money within this particular serial number range, it was intended to go to LBDR, but because the car got unrobbed, that money will void it. Or we can put an alarm that if you see that money with that serial number, it comes from that. The central bank keeps record of that. But this central bank, with a 10.5 billion, we are yet to see those documentation.
Mr. Lobbo.
So, yeah.
Mr. Lobbo, again, still pushing you on the fact that you said the money did not go to the central bank. Where did it go? I will say this. We remember the chairman of the ruling party, Mr. Mbake Molo, is on tape that we have in our possession, saying we know what happened to the money, unquote. Paycott trusts were being loaded down Wallace side. Are you saying the money might have gone to the National Housing and Saving Bank down Wallace side, if that's true in anything that Molo said?
It is not true, because in all fairness, we know the money arrived in November. We have documentation to our disposal that the money did not clear the container, or the port rather, but in February, in March. We learned that the major concern of that money cleared the port March 28th, if I'm exact. So technically, the time Oliver Molu was referring to, he said in November. And by then in November, we know the money arrived. The core report established that. But the report also makes it clear the time of the shipment, which it talks about between November and December when the money arrived. What the report does not go further on to inform us is that how would the money move? Would the money transported? Now, what the report should have done, and that was not established, that is why the report said that there needs to be a further understanding, because we need to also ask the central bank, if you infuse this money in the economy, how was it infused? What means was used to infuse the money in the economy? Where were the commercial banks that you took the money to? What serial numbers which bank got? Why is it those documentation are yet to be provided to the public? If you really want to show us that our money went to the central bank, we know how money can get out of the central bank. It's simple. When we look at all these facts, right? And then we must not forget, Anson, the government in question came into power very unprepared with one agenda, which is to be notorious to steal. Now, when you look at the timing of our money going missing,
Mr. Lobo,
right?
We know
our continuous credit report now in February and late March.
Right.
Before you hold me, let me end this thought real quick.
Okay.
We know Libya breaks down his mansion and begin to erect new mansions. Break down his little Congos, begin to erect mansions. President, we have become rich all of a sudden. Now we know, we also have information that part of the problem that led to Matthew Innes' death was not only because of his disagreement with the 25 million infusion, but was because of the down payment of 7 million made on the jet, which he opposed to. So another thing we know now, go back to Governor Weeks' testimony to the legislature. Governor Weeks made it very, very clear. One thing that has been established by the report, by the core report, is that additional 1.944 billion was printed in excess. Now the government have used the addition that was printed to prosecute Charles Salif and that of Governor Weeks, which of course I think is stupid and is a cover-up. Those guys did not authorize the printing of the excess amount. If you read the core Queen Uno released the few days. Queen said they printed the money as a security, as a backup, just in case if something had gone wrong or the money did not meet the amount that should have been printed. But they gave the Liberian government 3 options. That 1, we can destroy the money here. We don't have to send it to Liberia. 2, we can send the money to Liberia, but you must pay for shipping. 3, you yourself can take the money. If you don't want to put the money in the economy, you yourself can destroy the money. So the money that came in, that the CDC want to prosecute those guys for, they did nothing wrong. Absolutely nothing wrong yet. The government is yet to establish the wrongdoing for the whole thing by Weeks and Chancellor. There's no case yet. Go ahead.
Your key revelation here is that the money did not go to the central bank.
I stand by that statement.
The central bank governor then, Mr. Nam Petrie, had a press conference that you remember very well. Because I'm saying this because I heard you.
It was on October 1st, October 1st, 2018.
2018, when he said all of the money that were printed and brought into the country has been locked in the central bank vault. Are you telling us that Mr. Nathaniel Petrie lied to the Liberian people?
But Anthony, let's look at the basic fact now. Let's go back and reconstruct. We're trying to reconstruct this thing. That some 10.5 billion was in the vault of the central bank, October 1st, right?
Right.
The same central bank. Why was there a need for the president to authorize the infusion of $25 million to map up excess liquidity? When we know at the end of that, in circulation, the math don't make sense, bro. We don't need to go back and forth. We know the numbers don't add up. What would be the need if the money was in the bank? Why didn't you? Why they said, let's go back to Finance Minister Samuel Twe. The then Finance Minister said sometime in June that there were excess amount of Liberian dollar outside of the market, outside of the banking sector. So how the money got outside again? These boys can't get their lives together. It only take a smart man to take your time, pay attention. When they give you one number, write it down. They give you another number, write it down. When you do your 1 + 1, you'll come to realize that the guys don't make sense.
So, Mr.
Because
Lobbo,
let's use another theory here for one.
Okay.
Let me give you one more theory. Let me give you one more theory here. One more theory.
Okay.
If Nathaniel Petrie on October 1st said that no money was missing, granted, that all the money was in the vault. Now, are you going to tell me that from October to December of 2018, by the time we got to March already, now we have over 28 billion in circulation?
Mm-hmm.
How did that happen again?
Apparently they have infused all the money in the economy.
Man, come on, man. Anthony, if they did again, then let's get back to another theory. Then why is it
back to that theory? I'm saying this because if you remember, Mr. Lobbo, Samuel Twe said that they had infused all the money in the economy, or he has dismissed the explanation of Len Eugene Namwe, and then Samuel Twe was backed by Janga Ko, who having to be the finance, that the controller at the Ministry of Finance. But mind you, that don't forget about Hassan Kiezulu, who was then the controller also. He also said the money was not infused in the economy. So there was a conflict there. Go ahead with the theory.
So let's say, Anthony, I think what you've done for me is to also give me more information towards that. For me, I decided that there are certain people I pay attention to, right? When it has to do with monetary policy issues, I do not listen to the finance ministry. That is not our job. The finance ministry is responsible to take care of fiscal policy. Anything that have to do with money supply on the market, it is not a finance ministry thing. So if I listen to the finance minister, I'm just being less busy and trying to pay attention to him. But it is not his job. He also said that, let's go back to the fact. When Samuel Twe appeared before the Senate, when he was questioned, he admitted to the Liberian Senate that he's not a monetary policy guy. So they should not ask him those questions. So for me, Listening to both from the finance ministry tell me about monetary policy to me was a joke. But let me say this, right? This is why I said, senior brother, that the boys cannot get their story straight. And one thing they have succeeded in doing, they have been able to confuse the Liberian people to the point where some people have gotten so frustrated. I'll tell you today, answer. If President George Weah was serious about accountability and really, really wanted to get to the bottom of this money business, right? And he know he was never involved, President Weah would have asked for an independent criminal investigation into this money. I will tell you today.
Okay,
that's
so let's establish
independent criminal investigation. This whole thing will blow up.
All right, let's establish the first mystery. Mystery number one, from what I gathered from you, is that in no way the money was at central bank, because if Lenan Petrie said they had all of the money at the central bank, how could they have taken $25 million from our reserve to map up money that is already in the vault? So that explanation cannot hold water. That is mystery number one. Now, I'm going to push you now to establish another mystery. George, this is serious.
Nah, let me get to the second mystery about the whole thing, right?
Program, The Hour of Politics with me, Anthony Sieh. Today, we are giving you a breaking news on the mysteries of the $16 billion, the secrets of the $4 billion. But right now, we are on the mystery of the $16 billion. Yeah.
So Anthony, let's come to the same basic facts, right? Now, the finance minister told us that they infused the money in the economy. Now, the same finance minister, if you can recall, sometime in February this year, is on the record for saying that he believed that there was 16 billion outside of the banking sector. Now, my question to him, if you believe that 16 billion is outside of the banking sector, then I want to ask you how it got there. Because the banks always will have certain amount of reserve. They have certain limitation of how much money they can keep on their own as a bank to be used for transaction, right? Yeah. Now, when I know the math, that in a country where the total amount of money that should be in circulation is under $30 billion. Under $30 billion. Actually, the math is so simple. The total money that should have been in circulation, the real money that we know, it should not exceed 30 billion as we speak. That is one thing we know. So, has 16 billion outside of the banking sector. That means we know the boys got the money at home. I told you before. Now, let me give you a theory today. Two things happening. And I'm going to go to some basic facts here real quick. You see, Anthony, I told you before that I pay for information. And I sponsor my whistleblower very, very good. Because they keep me informed. They give me factual information that I need to bring to people. So I take care of them. Listen to what my whistleblower told me. My whistleblower was mad at me the other day because he told me that the money was in the country. And he said, you didn't want to believe me. Yeah. Listen, let me go to our conversation. Listen, Anthony, I got the information on November 24th at 1:51 p.m. Here's how my whistleblower informed me. He said, Gregory Como has sent his resignation to him. He was talking about George. Mm-hmm. He said all the armed men assigned to the VP was withdrawn. He was giving me follow. I told you how I get information. Then listen to what he said. He said the money is on ground. The money will be making its way into the market, the $500 bill. So when Yeka brought the $500 bill outside the other day, I was laughing. Now let's go forward. You listen to what he said. My whistleblower came back and got mad at me. He began to tell me about my gay trip to the US where he talked about. He said, brother, yes. He said, just a security money available. Then listen to what he said. He said, I told you the other day the money was on ground, but you did not want to believe me. Okay? Then listen to what I told him. I told him to take a picture of the money and send it to me. And just to follow on that conversation, I called lawmaker Roger Dorman from Nimba County, and I asked him to send me one $500 bill, because what I wanted to do was to be able to look at the date and serial number on the money. And then I will save it for the purpose of history. Because in the long run, if we launch a criminal investigation, we will be able to go back to court, because court should be able to tell us what serial number they printed from the first note to the last note. Now, when we have those serial numbers from court, we will be able to detect if new money was printed and when it was printed. As it has been reported to me by my sources who worked within the NSA, that money had come to Liberia. So I know. Now, here's the theory I want to give to the Liberian people today. Only two possible things happen with the money the boys printed. Two things. The additional money they printed. We know that there's the first advancement of the 35 billion that they asked to print. The boys have printed part of that money. We know that. We know the money came into the country. That we are aware of. Now, what they're trying to do is this. What they're trying to do. The 10.5 billion, we know they did not put that money in the bank, like I said. The boys have the money. Now, two things could happen. They will give you the 10.5 billion first, right? Because by giving it to you and they keep the one they printed, because now they know that they've already had a rubber stamp legislature which will approve it for them to print more money. So technically, they ain't got nothing to worry about. So if they push the 10 billion outside now, they legitimately clean that money. But here is what is important that people not pay attention. Don't be fooled. If you notice right now, the US rate is about 190.
Josh,
I think one.
Josh,
yeah, go ahead.
Hold that thought. Hold that thought. That's something about people I don't want to forget. Hold that thought. Earlier, you talk about 7 million that you claim Mr. Matthew Innes has unique knowledge of.
Yes.
And
it was a down payment for the jet.
Yes, and you are trying to suggest here that because of a unique knowledge of the $7 million, that you are trying to say might have been used or has been used to acquire the jet for Bakube. That was why he was killed. Is that something?
Let me say this. It's not trying to say, but there's listen. Let me say this to you, Anthony. When you live in an advanced
do you want
world,
to establish that his death was mysterious?
Yes, I strongly believe and I'm confident that his death was mysterious. But let me create that other scene for you again.
Okay.
Let me create that scene for you. Here's why you need to know. Many Liberians don't pay attention. Matthew Innes was willing to speak to investigators because Matthew Innes was against the way in which the map-up exercise was done. He had expressed openly his disappointment and frustration to that of Samuel Tue, which he felt was not in the proper authority to be the one undertaking monetary policy actions. So that was established. We also know that Matthew Innes was willing to inform investigators about the 7 million that was used as an advance payment for the down payment for the jet. Let me tell you where the problem came from for George. Many Liberians don't know today. The Eton loan and Iboma loan really destroyed George. I'll tell you today. That was George. We have major downfall.
How?
Because we knows that had he borrowed that $1 billion, let me tell you today, Silver, you can say anything you want. George could have been able to use at least 700 million of that money to build roads. Even if he stole about 100 million or 150, the Liberian people would have been still praising George, especially what he wanted to do in the southeastern area. Those are areas that have not seen roads since independence. It was going to be hard to make the case against George. So it was a politically strategic move for George. Since he did not get that money, it really killed him. Because with that money, I will tell you something, brother. George, the jet, even though he made a $7 million down payment, but don't forget that one of the major road construction contracts was going to the firm who offered the president the jet. So technically, that could have also been used as an enticement. In America, don't the NRA lobby lawmakers? So the guy who was trying to make sure that he had George, because had he gotten a $500 million road construction contract, it would well add $30 million. He would have just said, Mr. President, let it be. But the absence of that money killed this government. The boys were too confident that, Mama, trust me, let's be honest here.
But George,
for any government to come to power and borrow $1 billion in less than 6 months, you got to get him any credit they have gotten that money. So that's one of the reasons why it getting harder.
George, is there any link with the 16B, the manner in which it was mismanaged, to the Eton and Iboma loan deals? Do you see any link there?
No, I don't, because the Eton and Iboma loan, the reason why they had a problem, Anthony, you see, many Liberians don't read. That's one thing I've come to realize. Many Liberians are not informed. Majority of our people that discuss issues, they discuss issue on hearsay, he say, she say, they say. So I listen to George, I go and make my own side of the story. I listen to Costa and make my own side of the story. So that's how they discuss the issues. Costa, you know, you got to read and establish. When you have the facts and you discuss the issue, it gives you control. You are relaxed, you are calm. Let me tell you what happened. The reason why they did not get that money, Anthony, a government do not borrow from a private equity loan firm. Okay? So that in itself was just stupid on their part. That was a mistake they did. Now, many people don't know, even though some Liberians can sit and they say, oh, the UP government do nothing, and it didn't do nothing. Folks, it's not easy to say what you say. It's easy. But in reality, Madam Salif, to secure that $4.5 billion debt waiver, Madam Salif committed Liberia to a lot of international financial obligations, which makes it difficult. Can you imagine, Anthony? Madam Salif herself did not borrow money until 2012 June, when we qualified for the HIPEC initiative. The reason why many Liberians can always say, oh, because anyone about to leave, the how Ellen started doing things. No, it's not so. Ellen did not have the ability to borrow money because your credit was bad. So she had to build your credit first. When the HIPEC initiative passed, then Liberia was allowed to borrow money. Now, because of those restrictions, Liberia can only borrow certain amount of money at certain period of time.
I get that, George. Let's focus on the mystery and the secrets of the 16 billion and then the 4 billion. Now, you were telling me about the $4 billion that is now, in work of printing, and then I carry you back to the issue of Matthew Indes, and then the $7 million you claimed Matthew Ide was like, no, I mean, you guys can't do this. So coming to the $4 billion, now the legislator got the authorization. You were saying earlier, you have intelligence, somebody have already gave you first-hand information that they had the money in the country, and this news too have been around. How can you confirm, or what are things you can point to suggest that actually the guys have already printed the money because they knew that they will be able to get their way anyway?
Let me say this to you, Anthony. My source who gave me information don't work outside government. He's not an office boy. He's highly trained and work in the hierarchies of government. He meets with government officials and he is at the NSA. So trust me, he has never given me anything that I'm not happy. I trusted him, but the reason why you see I didn't speak to that money, because money got paper trail, right? I wanted to have the money in my own hand. Look at the serial number, look at the signature on the money. There's certain things you can look at on the money and be able to tell, because we could look at the bank governor's signature, but someone was trying to make the case that you tell someone to put certain signature on it. No, it depends. There are international regulations that guide these things. It is true, you who asking to print the money, but because the government and the central bank do have the template that was used for backcrawl. So it is possible the government can give that same template to another company to print the money. Here's what I know. Here's what my sources are telling me from within the government, that the money was printed.
And you think the Central Bank of Liberia has legal right over such template?
Yeah, they do.
Okay,
they do, because they give the contract. They own the. It's the money. It's the country money. The central
Okay,
bank is the one that runs our monetary policy. Yeah, it is their right. They have it. They have the right to it.
Okay.
So they have it. They can give it to anybody to print the money as long as it's approved, as long as it's authorized. Yes, they can do it. If we go back to the central bank, in the Constitution, we can go to Article 35, which talks about the central bank and its power and how things work. If you want to read, for those of you who want to acquaint yourself with the Constitution and so the legalities surrounding that, go read Article 35 of the Liberian Constitution. It's there. It will tell you about everything you need to know on the central bank. But let me bring you to one important thing here real quick about the money. Anthony, you and I know 4 weeks ago, there were no Liberian dollars in circulation, right?
That is correct.
The
in the banks, people were crying. People were be giving.
The bank had also resorted. The bank had also resorted to giving out mutilated money, right?
Yes.
Now let me tell you the problem again about what that action did. Don't forget the 5.5 billion that were printed in 2016. That money was printed to replace mutilated banknotes. So of that amount, 2.5 billion was used to withdraw mutilated banknotes. The central bank had the mutilated notes. They were supposed to destroy it. How many of them they destroy? I think they just put it right back on the market. That is also going to have an effect on the economy down the road. It will have an impact there because it is not in circulation. So we'll get to that side of it later on. But now, we knew that the banks were broke. Basically, the banks were empty. ATM machines were eating people's debit cards because the ATM was embarrassed to get your debit card, so they can't give you money. They were eating people's debit card. We knew that. Now, all of a sudden, this mystery happened that money just appeared in the country. We know it's not no joke. We know it's not no mystery. Come on, Anthony. You want to tell me that to bring in $58 million that they got from the African Development Bank recently, is that why you need to continue to, you need EROU to escort the big continue from the port for RIA? You don't need that.
The consignment was into 2 continents.
Oh, look at the continent, look at the big continent they use.
And you
really need that to bring
58 or 60
million.
To bring 58 million US dollars.
And apart from that, let me say this now. And apart from that, we know that they said they brought in $58 million, which was confirmed by the information minister. It was the money they got, the loan. You know, they consolidated their debts and sold it as a bond to the African Development Bank. Okay. So let me tell you one thing about this whole thing that you people not paying attention. I continue to tell the Liberian people. You see, the Liberian man, the way we set ourselves, we've set ourselves up to be happy today, tomorrow, and maybe day after tomorrow. We don't care about Monday. We don't care about next week, Tuesday. That is not our DNA. That is why you see the Liberian men, they are comfortable. They're quick to be complacent. That is the problem we have. And that is why governments have understood those things. This is why you can go 7 months and don't get paid. They pay you 1 month, you're happy. And you think everything have you forgotten. That is this trend. I will tell you right now what is happening. Let me tell you. The government has created, let me finish this thought real quick before you take your next question. Yeah. The government have created this artificial scarcity of Liberian dollars on the market. Now, what they did was, here's how they did it. Now, people are getting US dollar, 100% US dollar from the banks. Ask anybody that received money recently. It's been 100% US dollar. You know why? No. The government holding back the Liberian dollars creates scarcity of Liberian dollar on the market, meaning creates shortage of Liberian dollar. Now, with the limited Liberian dollar, the demand for Liberian dollar increases. What happens to the US rate? The demand for the US rate will go down. That in itself will drop the rate. It will bring the rate down because you have US, there's no Liberian dollar, you want Liberian dollar, so you reduce the rate. So that is it's just short term. Don't forget, for you Liberians, don't forget that these boys are going to print $30 billion. Now they are going to print 30 billion in addition to 28 billion that's in circulation. I told you Liberians the other time, begin to read on Zimbabwe. Start reading on the effect of inflation in Zimbabwe. Because sooner or later, you people will start, you could be the next Zimbabwe in West Africa, George, where you will have more money on the market, but will be worth nothing. It is coming, folks. Pay attention. Yeah, let us get your money before time.
George, so my question is, it became widely known that there were no money in the banks. And now you just said that of recent, you could only get US dollar 100% from the banks. We are also aware, Nathaniel Petrie told us that they have the $15.5 billion in the banks. So I'm thinking the fact that there was shortage of Liberian dollar banknotes on the market, and the banks were only giving mutilated banknotes, that was a very good time for the central bank to have infused some of the $15.5 billion not to us they had in the bank. Instead, we first got a letter talking about infuse 4 billion, and then the letter was pulled back, and it said, no, it should actually be print. And now there is an agreement or an authorization for printing. So as we speak, after a solid new money appear on the market, let us not forget what Akara Gray said in October, that they must print money so that people will be able to have a good Christmas. And they were all talking about printing money. So are you trying to suggest that while your source told you that they already had the money in the country, that what happened, that why we're seeing the money on the market now, even though
I trust my sources, and I'm confident with the theory. Let me tell you something, Anthony, just following up on what you said. Normally, let me be honest with you. Akara Gray told us that the government must print money to pay people, which of course to me, that did not only justify some of us what we've been saying. That should have convinced Liberian people that indeed that your lawmakers, they are not only a disappointment to you, they are not only a misrepresentation to you and your family, but your lawmakers are an embarrassment to the country. If I have my own will, like I've said, I will close the Capitol building for the next 4 years. The Capitol building is a waste. When we talk about wasteful spending, I think the Capitol building is a typical example of wasteful spending. That is money we are paying homeboys to do nothing. Go there, yell at each other, and come back. They go to work 2 times a week. That's wasteful spending. I'm telling you about it. Someone myself was speaking this morning. They asked me if you were president, what you would do. And I've been very, very clear. Let me say this to you. I told someone if I was president, I would shoot for a vote of no confidence. Because I would tell those guys, the most I'm about to give a lawmaker is a representative 5,000, a senator 6,000. I will not buy you a car. I will not get you scratch card, no gas. I don't need to. If you can't take it, first and foremost, I know the cost of living. Let me finish something. I'll come in. Let me say something. I want to address.
We have 15 minutes. I want us to go to. We got 2 other main areas to go.
Okay, let me wrap up on this. Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Our lawmakers approved the printing of $30 billion answer. Our lawmakers, they came back from on their break in 2018. Each of them were awarded $10,000. They spent $100,000 on a retreat. They came to investigate the missing $16 billion. Up to now, there have been no report from the legislature. None at all. $25 million is yet to be accounted. And yet then the lawmakers will sit down and approve the printing of additional $30 billion. That is to tell you that these guys don't even care about hyperinflation. But the Liberian people will learn what it means by when we talk about, I know you've heard me talking inflation and hyperinflation. Don't worry, you will understand it when we get to that point. Because explaining to you every day, you will not know. When you get there, you will know. Like we told you about George, we'll get down that path. But let me tell you this about the money, right, Anthony? There was no money in the bank, given your theory you just gave. Because if there were money in the bank, the central bank would not give out mutilated banknotes. You know that, right? The central bank or the commercial bank would not complain of shortage. And Anthony, I will say this again. If you want to print money, even if it is done through an expedited process, you cannot print money in 1 month and bring it to the country. It don't work like that. It will take more than 2 months. I don't care how fast the process is. Okay? So Akara Gray knew what they were doing. The boys knew that they printed money already. So when he said in October they had to print money to pay people, that in itself was shameful because we don't need to print money to pay people. The last time I checked, a budget is an estimate of expenditure and income for a set period of time. I don't know which school. This is why I question why they teach the boys to LU. Because if the budget passes, the budget takes into account the government revenue streams. The budget is a prediction, folks, using numbers, using data. So how do you pass a budget and now you say no, you need different money? So then what the budget is about? I thought the people's salary was already accounted for in the budget based on our revenue projection. So for me, I don't want to get there because today I'm not teaching budget. The Liberian people will learn what they got themselves into. Like I keep telling you, folks, this, you can't run your way out of this. The fight for me, you people will really understand sooner or later. You're way small. I told you all to start reading about Zimbabwe.
George, this is very important, George. George, this is very important. The money you talk about from the African Development Bank, that the government had owed the commercial bank and have made effort to pay so that the banks can be liquidated, the government informed us that that money was United States dollars. And that's the money they brought in the country. So if that is true that they brought United States dollars for the banks, how come out of a sudden, brand new banks now appear at the very banks when the government is yet to print money and when the government has just gotten the authorization to print money? Again, folks, in cyberspace, this is focused on Liberia. My name is Anthony Sia, the host of the program, The Hour of Politics. We have the man, George Lobbo, is in the house, and we are discussing the secrets of the $4 billion and the mysteries of the $16 billion. Folks, join us. We are
the masses. We are the masses. We can't get tired.
Mr. Lobbo, I don't know if the masses will not actually get tired. So tell me.
They can't get tired.
Yeah, hold on, George.
The masses don't get tired.
The $25 million, we were told, I think yesterday the president spoke, right? We were told that
the president, the president lectured the country yesterday. He didn't speak. He lectured the country.
Yeah, he lectured the country yesterday. And we have known all along, the government made it clear to all that they did not use all of the $25 million that were intended for their map or exercise. Someone will call it so-called map or exercise. I can't say that confidently because it did not reduce the rate. So what happened to the rest of the money? They need to inform the Liberian people what happened to the rest of the money. They put it back in
Anthony, I will say this to you. You know, when I was growing up as a young man and I sat in 7th grade, even though I spent one semester in 7th grade, but I admire my teachers who taught me civics. My civics teacher told me the importance of government. He taught me the 3 branches of government.
We started late, so we have only 10 minutes left. Go to the point.
Okay.
Yeah,
and responsibility. But let me finish this.
Okay.
You see, the issue of this money, Anthony, we can't question the executive branch. We the people, it is true we have power. Where many Liberians miss the Constitution, because the Constitution says in Article 1 that all power is inherent in the people, they forget it. When you elect a lawmaker for 6 years, you are transferring your power over to him. Because the Constitution knows all of us can hold the executive branch accountable. So because of that, this is why the Constitution allows you to elect your lawmaker. So when you hear the Constitution talking about the power inherent in the people, when you gave your power to your lawmaker, that is the people. So this is why some of you that talk about moving the president, this is why the legislature have the power to move him. Because they are the people. So you need to get this understanding. So to you, the people, everybody that know the people know. You have the people already, you chose. This is why you chose them. Anthony, we do not have them. We elect people in Liberia to misrepresent us. If we have people who are holding government accountable, who are representing the interests of the people, President Weah have done more than enough to be impeached or should have left power a long time. But sadly for us, in Liberia, we elect lawmakers to misrepresent us. They go there to represent the interests of the president. And that is what we have. So as a result, George, we have a free ride. There's no oversight. In America, you know, I saw some of our lawmakers in Liberia participating in the American politics. And I asked them, some of them, I wish I would buy them to slap them. Because how do you watch your friend lawmakers proceeding and discussing and holding the first branch, the second branch of government accountable? But you guys, you have traded places with the executive branch. In Liberia, the executive branch is not the first branch of government. The legislature is the second branch of government. This is why I wanted to go back to question my civics teacher if he lied to me, but I know he didn't lie to me. The old man did his best. It is our useless, good for nothing lawmakers who are a disappointment to our society.
Josh, let's move into our last segment. In this segment, we will make 3 affirmative statements, and then you will respond to them.
Go ahead.
Folks in cyberspace, this is Focus on Liberia. On our program, The Hour of Politics with me, Anthony Sier. Thank you for joining us. Here at Focus on Liberia, we elevate, we educate, and promote all things Liberia. All of our shows here can also be seen on YouTube. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel, find Focus on Liberia, go further down, click on the bell, and you will get notification when we upload any of our program. George, the first statement. President George Weah, in his lecture to the country yesterday, said his economic management team is doing good. The president is right. We should give them time. Your response.
Let me say this to you, Anthony. Samuel Tuah is the most fortunate and the most lucky finance minister in the 21st century to have a president like George Weah. Samuel Tuah could not be my finance minister for 1 week before I said 2 months. By this time, Samuel Tuah and Nathaniel Petrie would have been serving, will be in prison awaiting trial. If I'm being nice, they will be under house arrest. So honor George Weah, yes. George don't understand anything. So he's right. George Weah, who lied to the world. George Weah addressed the nation. They tell Monday in 2019, the president in his annual address to the nation, he told the nation that in 2018, that the 25 million that he authorized for them to be used for the map-up, he said that of that amount, and I quote, that 17 million had already been used prior to his statement in January. When the core report came out in February, the core report told us that 15 million was used. President, we are lied to the world, lied to the country. So I'm not surprised, man, Anthony. This is not, listen, George, I don't follow George Weah lectures. So let's just leave it. Samuel Tuah is blessed and he's fortunate to have George. The Liberian people wanted George and they got George. The Liberian people will enjoy George. That's what I tell them. They will learn.
Second statement. Mumba Molu, in his press conference, called for a major reshuffle in his work, especially at senior levels of government. Mumba Molu should be given some credit. Your response.
Listen, Anthony, they gave you $200 to bring for me. And you gave me $140. And you say you deserve credit. But I needed that money to pull my tooth out. 160 can pull my tooth out. It is true you gave me 160, but $40 is missing. You don't deserve credit because my teeth will still be hurting me. That is how I would say to Mumba Molu. Here's what I meant by that. The Liberian people elected the CDC government to change their life, to make their life better. Not to give consolatory statements here and there because you have been left out of the scene or because you've been limited from the circle. And that is why you come crying. Listen, let me tell you, you want to give him credit, give him credit. If you want me to give CDC government credit, they need to tell me how many thousand Liberians they've created jobs for. They need to tell me how many investors they've attracted. They need to tell me how much effort they put into fighting corruption. They need to tell me how much they've done to enhance accountability and promote good governance. Not because they show up to their party headquarters frustrated, they have not talked to George, and they express these sympathetic statements. No, listen, Mumba Molu, go to hell and kill yourself.
Last statement. George Lobbo is very wrong for calling our honorable lawmakers legislators. He is dead wrong. Your response.
Let me say to you, as a young man growing up, I've always learned to use words wisely. I've always told Liberians one of the problems they have when words are used, people must understand the context in which words are used. Because in every word, there's a connotative and denotative meaning to the word you use. And this is why I pick my words carefully. Let me ask you today, Anthony, what is the opposite of the word use? If something is not useful, what is it? It's not useless? If something is not useful, it is useless, right? If our lawmakers are not useful to serve the public, they are useless, right? Because their job is to make laws for us. Their job is to hold the president accountable. Their job is to put forth policies that will address the concern and improve the living standard of their people. And when they fail to do it, they are useless. And at the end of the day, not only that they are useless, normally public service is where experienced, competent, ethical, professional people come to give back to the country. But for us, our useless lawmakers, they come to take away from the country. So definitely they are looters. Because when you're taking something that does not belong to you, when a nurse who makes $200 cannot get paid, but a lawmaker who makes $15,000 is getting paid on time and can come back from break and get $3,000 just for extra sitting, for doing nothing, he is looting the country. So they are alleged looters.
All right, folks, in cyberspace, we are at the concluding point of our show. Sorry that we did not come here on time to have given you more time to go into this topic. But I think our guest was able to give you something you learned from him today. Mr. George Preston Lobbo, we want to thank you for honoring our call. Your parting statement, sir.
Let me say to you, my fellow Liberians, brothers and sisters, I come before you as a humble young man. I understand the challenges and difficulties that you guys are going through. I understand the frustration. This morning, I had to send credit to a friend of mine who I never sent credit to before in 12 years when Ellen was in power. Just now, I got another phone number that I will be sending credit to. These were people who were independent. These were people who were self-reliant. These were people who could take care of themselves. Just like them, I hear stories from many other people every day. There's so little I can do. There's so little I can do. I can provide handouts to many people. But that would not get us to the finish line. That would not change the situation. For your life to be impacted, for you to be able to have an opportunity to do what is right and feed your family, we must be able to create the conducive environment that businesses can come to our country, that we can attract the investors that are going to come and create jobs for you. Listen, folks, giving you handout will not make you independent. Independent means you are being able to stand on your own. George Lobbo sending you $50. Anthony sending you $100. That does not mean you are independent because you live on us. What we seek is a society where we have 3 branches of government that are working to making this dream come true, that are working to fulfilling some of you guys' aspirations. I am not better than any of you. I'm just the same old young man like each and every one of you that I saw marching down the streets the other day. In your eyes, I saw the frustration. In your eyes, I saw the desperation of a group of young people who are waking up and grown up in a society where the future for them is a dream that will never be a reality. We must change that. But we can't change it with the way you're going. It will not work. These 6 years must be used as a learning curve for us. We need to take a step back. We must evaluate ourselves as a nation and as a society. I want to say to you, I know what you're going through because I have to come home from school before. I walked from school before. Trust me, I understand your problem. I feel your pain. Today, in a few days from now, will be Christmas. Many of you don't even know where you will start. Have no understanding what your tomorrow will be before I say what Christmas will bring. But in life, we must understand the decisions we make, they are the ones that will destroy us for good. When we have the opportunity, we need to put aside this sentiments. We need to put aside this jumping from one place to another. We need to put aside this party loyalty bullshit and be serious and address the core issues. I want to say to you, this is all we have. I watch other countries. I was reading on Ghana, reading on Namibia, reading on Botswana. It breaks my heart that in my own country, there's nothing I can point to. I hope we change. I hope we do.
I hope.
I want to say, Anthony, thank you for the platform.
I hope.
To all of you that watch this show, I want to say thanks to all of you. God bless you and God bless the Republic.
God bless you all. God bless the Republic of Liberia. And so, folks, in cyberspace, it has been an hour presentation here with me, your humble host, Anthony here on this network focused on Liberia. This is how we will close our content. Mr. Lobbo, thank you. Our viewer, thank you. Sorry we could not get to your comment because of time. We will close with our political prayer again. Our Father in heaven, hallowed be thy your name. Make your kingdom come in Mama Liberia. Let your will be done in Liberia. Even halfway as it is in heaven, teach us every day to love and to work hard. Win us off of foreign aid and dependency, and forgive us our debt and our bad habits, but punish those who stole the little we owe and borrow, the little we own and borrow, taking glory and wealth on our backs forever and ever. And this is how we'll come to the close of our show. Thank you. I'm Anthony, and bye-bye for now.
Bye-bye.